Mr. President, I wonder what you make of the criticism from Democrats that these staff reductions, the cuts that Elon Musk and Doge are doing are an unlawful power grab. And is there anything you've told Elon Musk he cannot touch?
Well, we haven't discussed that much. I'll tell him to go here, go there. He does it. He's got a very capable group of people. Very capable. They know what they're doing. They'll ask questions, and they'll see immediately as somebody gets tongue-tied that they're either crooked or don't know what they're doing. We have very smart people going in. So I've instructed him, go into education, go into military, go into other things.
Now, we have asked the White House for their reaction to this lawsuit as well, but they are very confident in their ability to fight these lawsuits coming at the federal government. A scheduled hearing will take place on Friday, February 14th. Jessica.
All right, Betsy Klein in West Palm Beach, thank you so much. And joining us now is Republican Congressman Tim Burchett from Tennessee. He sits on the Oversight, Foreign Affairs, and Transportation Committees. Congressman, thanks so much for your time on this Saturday. We appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Listen, there are concerns from some Americans over Elon Musk's methods in going through these agencies, accessing what is very vulnerable data. Why are you confident this is secure?
I'm confident it's secure just because of the caliber of the people that they have doing it. It's odd to me that the Democrats are sniping at these young folks and they're 19, 20, 21, 2-year-old folks, but you've got seniors in both parties who are inept of any cognitive skills almost and are incapable of governing. And we've seen that in the past, and they've embarrassed us in the national press. We've had them fall down. We've had them stumble and verbally and in press conferences. And so I have total confidence in this group. I think the gripes are, you're not seeing it from the old school Democrats. It's the young liberal Marxist types that don't approve of $2 million. They approve of $2 million in sex change for folks in Guatemala, or $6 million for tourism being spent in Egypt, or LGBTQ comic books being given to kids in other nations. Those are the things that America is disgusted about. You know, we've had this Hurricane Helene just ripped through our country, and the poor people in Upper East Tennessee and North Carolina basically were living in tents and didn't have electricity or water till President Trump came in, and we'd already allocated $100 million for that. Where's that money going? I think America is just fed up, ma'am, and they're tired of the overtaxing and over-governmenting, and they're seeing the results.
I hear you. I mean, listen, the president was very clear when he ran on what he wanted to do with the government, and the American people voted him into office. So I get that. What I want to go back to, though, is that you acknowledge these are 19, 20, 22-year-old people who are being designated special government employees who now have access to some of the most sensitive data in this country. And I'm just curious if you would be comfortable if a Democratic administration was doing this. We don't know what any sort of vetting that these people have gone through. And I'm curious why you think that's okay.
I don't know if you can see it or not, but these guns behind me, these are guns that my dad took off of dead Japanese soldiers that he actually killed in combat when he was 19, 20, or 21. That was a generation of young people that saved this world from tyranny. So I have a lot of confidence in young folks and in their knowledge of what's going on. I have complete confidence in Elon Musk and this group that he's put together. And again, I think you're not seeing it from your old school Democrats. It's the young left wing that are concerned about all this.
Well, I don't think that's true, Congressman. I mean, we have heard from people, it's not even Democrats that I want to focus on. I'm talking about American people that are worried about if they're going to get checks for Head Start programs or something like that. I mean, we saw Chuck Schumer, who is about as old school Democrat as you can get. But I'm talking about the American people who, again, I acknowledge have given the Republicans rather, and the president, they want him to do this based on voting for him. That's not at question here. I think it's about the method and who's handling this information.
Well, I think Senator Schumer is basically sold out to the far left. He's done, and that's what you're seeing. Most of these folks that are raising up in righteous outrage, they're just going to plead to the very far left that keeps them in power. They know they've got midterms coming up. They're trying to make it as bad as possible. President Trump has stated we're not cutting off these funds to these groups. You know, they're playing the scare tactics. Even in my own hometown here in Knoxville, the Wheels on Meals people thought they were going to be shut down, and nothing further from the truth. Nothing further from the truth. And that's just scare tactics the left uses. It's the dirty game of politics, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves, because those people that are doing without, have been doing without, and without these cuts, I'm afraid they would continue to do without. And what we're going to see is, with these cuts, we're going to free up monies that will be available to legitimate charities and legitimate people that are in need, and that this country should be and can take care of.
And so, to that end, you sit on the oversight committee. The name is what it. The name is, it describes exactly what you all are supposed to be doing, which is oversight, of course. What kind of oversight are you going to have on that?
Well, of course, I serve on the DOJ committee. I was appointed by Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we are going to go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. I think you're going to see Medicaid, Medicare. We're not going to cut it. We're going to get rid of the fraud so more money can be available to those folks that are in need. You're going to see the Department of Education squeal like a pig, because we're going to go after that. And, you know, here we are. We've spent trillions of dollars since Jimmy Carter made it a cabinet level position. And we are now, what, 20 or 22nd in the world in education. And we were number one when that happened. I say the 10% of the money that states on average get, we send that to the states in the form of block grants. I have legislation to do just that and allow the locals to do that. There's not one federal bureaucrat in Washington, D.C., man, that's taught a kid how to teach at West Hills Elementary School in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I dare say they've never caught any kids anywhere to read or write or do arithmetic. They're bureaucrats. They're like the mob. They take their cut off the top, and we can do a whole lot.
I'm from Arkansas. That's where I was born and raised. And that's a very rural state. You know it well. It's your neighbor. But when you're talking about the Department of Education like that, they do submit funding for kids in those rural school districts, for special education kids. And I think
right. And
right.
It's not one size fits all, ma'am. And you can't.
No, of course it's not. But
Washington, D.C. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I'm going to say Washington, D.C. is the most heaviest funded school in the nation and has the worst test scores. And because it's not a one size fits all. What works best in Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, North Carolina, or New York does not work the same in Florida or Tennessee or Arkansas. Send that money to the states. Let the locals be held accountable. You have too much money that's tied up because of too many special programs, and nobody's talking about cutting off any programs to special needs kids or kids that are doing without. What I'm talking about doing is doing away with the fraud and abuse so that we can free up more money for them. And I think that's why you'll hear the unions against this. You would think that they would want more money for their teachers and more money for the students, but they don't. They want more money for the union and for the organization. And that's why you'll hear all the fighting and fussing.
And just lastly, look, I think one thing that has emerged is it's about the way this is being done. It's not. I think almost anyone can agree that cut the wasteful spending. Please, make the government run more efficiently. But it's about the way in which it's being done, and just going back to kind of where we started here. Just the way it's being done by Elon Musk, by these very young people who maybe aren't moving at the pace that I think some people are like, please just slow down for a second and don't scare people. I think people are frightened. Some people are frightened by how quickly this is moving and the questions that it leaves for them, that they are worried that there is disinformation floating around.
Sure, and they're worried because they're going to have to go back to work. These people.
I'm not talking. No. But I'm not talking about the employees. I'm talking about Americans who rely on some of this funding, or the farmers. Like I was just talking with an expert on USAID who farm the wheat that goes around the globe. People like that.
Yes, ma'am. And USAID has been a complete ripoff of the American taxpayer. Shut it down. And regroup the system so that if the farmers are doing legitimate work, then they should get legitimate pay. But American taxpayers should not be in charge of policing or feeding the world. We need to take care of our own first. And the money that we send to USAID, remember this, every dollar is borrowed. Every dollar is borrowed that we are giving away. That model does not work. It is a recipe for destruction. And the people that promote these things, these far left organizations, depleting our funds, that's where that is the end result right there. And you will see the complete destruction of our system. And I think that a lot of people that are in charge of this and they're pushing this, that is exactly what they want to do. They're Marxists. They do not like this country. They hate our flag. They hate everything about it. And they will do everything they can to wreck it because they're spending this money recklessly and they've just got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And that's why they're squealing.
Yeah, well, okay. I do think that there are a lot of government employees who do love this country a lot. But Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you so much. We do appreciate your time. We really do. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.